Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So, a lot of people have been hitting me up for this build guide, and I have been a little lazy, but I've finally decided to put it together. Anyway, this is my build guide, or the following video I should say, will be my build guide for the 3.12 GC miner build that I'm doing. Now, this build is not the absolute upper echelon of the greatest and most expensive build in the world, but it is tooled towards the everyday achiever at Path of Exile, and should be pretty easy to do for anyone that is new to the game or looking for a mining build that's relatively simple to get into. Pretty much uses 4 key uniques to get started, and realistically you only need 2 of these to really get started. But that's the Tremor Rod and the Chaos Heart are the main 2. We also use All's Uprising in this build, and I'll explain why shortly. And the Machine Emits give us an insane amount of basically survivability. Even with a pool of 5,000 health, we do quite well. Now, content that I've cleared the highest map level of the Hall of Grandmasters, as you could have seen in the B-roll, with the Awaken level on that. I've cleared Cyrus, I've cleared pretty much everything. This trivializes T16 maps to nothing, map bosses and nothing. I will say that my color links in the setup that I'm running here, I'm off 1 green. I actually want to run the Awaken Cold Penetration gem instead of Controlled Destruction. But anyway, so you know what MTX I'm running, because I think people ask me this normally. So I've got the Zenith Weapon Effect, the Hux Helmet, the Subjugated Body Armor, the Subjugated Gloves and Boots, Legacy Footprints, Classic Weapon Effect, Sunrise Wings, and also the Pitfighter Apparition Effect, and the Eagle character effect from this league's pack. Now, the Devourer Portal, probably not going to be able to get that one, at least easily. That was an ExileCon exclusive. But if you can get it, good luck. But it's absolutely insane. I love it. I use it on every build I do. Anyway, let's get into this build guide, and let's run through how this works. Okay, so the first item off the rank on this list is the Chaos Heart. Now, the reason why we use the Chaos Heart is it gives us a shit ton of health to start with obviously the problem being there's no sockets, but we're a miner build and all we use is mines, so it doesn't really matter too much. Now, the fire damage is really moot. You're not necessarily going to use that with this build, but what's important is you'll start with a base Chaos Heart, but you'll also eventually upgrade to a implicit corrupted Chaos Heart with at least a 40% increased damage implicit corrupt. These usually go for about 2x or so. As far as the belt you're going to use, you're simply just going to use a Stygian Vise. Now, in the case of my build, my belt actually maxes out my strength further, so I don't have to allocate nodes on the tree. That's how I get around my strength problem. Second to that is maximum life, fire resistance, cold and lightning resist. Now, my Stygian Vise is not perfect in my build by any measure. I'll probably get an influenced one, go crazy with it. You know it, I'll do it. But for the sake of this build and the cheapness of this build, this belt is perfectly sufficient to get the job done. Now, for my boots, a little bit of an interesting choice. Now, you don't have to use these boots. It's completely optional. They do decrease my defense and movement speed. But you can use Goldwim Nuck boots on this, new buck boots, sorry. And that's going to increase your quant, your mana regeneration, obviously your fire resistance. The bad thing about it is it doesn't maximize life, doesn't maximize movement speed. You can this is definitely something that you can go crazy with. I just like the quant for basically map farming and things like that. Lastly, the gloves I use are the Machine Emits. Now, these are specific miner gloves, and what makes these so awesome is that 1% of your damage dealt by mines is leached back to you as life. And now we're talking about an insane amount of damage that we're actually doing. So what that actually means is that our leech is huge, and not only that, while it does reduce your health recovery, you also take up one of the Saboteur Ascendancy nodes, which gives you life regeneration upon your mines triggering as well. So basically you've got an endless loop of regeneration with mines that makes boss fights and different fights like that, like Cyrus, much more sustainable and easy to do with this build. Now for this build, it's relatively straightforward with the weapon choice. We're just going to use a Tremor Rod. Best part about this is it's +2 to the level of socketed spell gems, which means your level 21 or 20 Glacial Cascade gem is going to be level 22 or 23. It also gives you blast chain mines off the bat, so you don't lose that that extra space for damage dealing, and also mines can be detonated a second time. Now it gives you about a cap of 60% increased spell damage too. As an overall, for such a a level 41 item, the fact that you can take down Cyrus and run every T16 map with ease is fantastic. I should note the other benefit of mines is that reflect maps have no impact on you. Essentially, you can run any reflect map. Mines can't reflect damage to you. That's another advantage of this build. Now, with the amulet that I use on this build, you can use a pandemonium, or you can even roll your own amulet to do 1+ to intelligence or 1+ to dex gems, which will increase your DPS further, and you would use a hunter base for that. In the case of this, I use an All's Uprising, which is from the Crystal King and Delve. The reason why I do this is it does increase your crit chance. It also means that you can run Clarity, and that'll reserve no mana. And while that might seem like you don't really need to do that, yeah, I do that on mine simply because I just I find it very easy to balance the mana sustain issue on this build with doing that. Now, this amulet in particular was about 24 chaos when I bought it about, a week ago. Not only that, it gives you increased energy shield if you go that way, and the anoint you want to take is Blast Waves, which I think is a Verdant Crimson and a Clear from memory, but it may not be that, but it's a very cheap anoint as well. Okay, so the beauty of this build is none of the jewels that I actually use outside of the cluster jewel is unique. Pretty much all you want to do is build towards life, critical chance, crit multi, and mind damage. That's pretty much all you want. And if you can get it, corrupted blood and even cold damage will suffice as well. Now for the cluster jewels, you're just going to take a 4 link small cluster jewel, and you're going to get Guerrilla Tactics and Surprise Sabotage. And this is going to increase your penetration, for elemental damage, your crit multi, your mind damage, and a little bit of movement speed and throwing speed as well on top. Okay, so the flasks you're going to use, at least the unique flask that I use, is a Taste of Hate. This is going to push your damage up, and at Series Promise, again, this is going to push your damage up, give you a bit of leech as well. On top of that, off the bat, I also just use a standard health flask as well. Now you want instant recovery on that if you can get it. I use a quartz flask for dodge and to remove any freeze or chill on me, and a diamond flask as well to increase my my critical chance hit, hit chance essentially. Okay, so I took some feedback from previous build guides, and people wanted me to basically code the or color code everything. So I've done exactly that for you, so you'll be able to see exactly the chromatic colors that you need. So in the helm, you want to run Summon Skitterbots, Clarity, Hatred, and Enlighten. I'm moving into a level 3 Enlighten, that'll be awesome. In the chest, it's a Chaos, so you don't need to worry about that. That simplifies it a bit more for you. Boots, I'm running a level 3 Castle and Damage Taken, level 4 Immortal Call. To buff that up, increase duration so that invulnerability or that damage reduction lasts longer, and Veil Grace. And Veil Grace is obviously buffed up by the increased duration as well, I believe. In my weapon, and this is the biggie, I run Glacial Cascade. My gem is actually level 21. Inspiration, Charged Mines, Trap and Mine Damage, Swift Assembly, and Cold Penetration. The reason why I run Swift Assembly on this build and not Minefield is it increases the clear speed on maps and decreases the amount of time where you're standing still. What I've found is, yes, you can play other different builds where if you're running low life, you can probably play Minefield because you can take those hits if you've got a pool of 10,000 ES. We've only got an EHP pool of about 5,200 right now. So Swift Assembly and High Mobility are absolutely key in winning most boss fights. What you'll probably find is the mechanics of this build is a little more complicated than others, and that's because we're going for the clear speed motif here and not just throwing out mines and one-hitting things. You know, we're going to be moving around and whatnot, so we can do more maps, we can do delve a lot more rapidly, and look at, I guess, more varied content than just one-hitting bosses. Finally, the gloves, you're going to run Val Righteous Fire, Dash, Second Wind, Blood Magic. The reason why I run Blood Magic is so that your mine reservation doesn't drown your mana and then you can't move. So using Blood Magic with the amount of leech that we've got means that we can move around without any fault, and we don't get stuck because we're just shy of that mana we need to drop a dash to move out of the way of something. Okay, so just a really quick pros and cons. This build can farm T16 plus easily, no problems there. High DPS, pure bossing is just relatively easy, to be honest with you. You can wipe entire screens, and in most cases wipe shit off of the screen, which is, you know, off-screen killing, always great. Can run all content. I haven't run anything yet that I can't beat. The downsides are dodge mechanics can be a bit shit. Mana sustain can be a little hard to balance. What I haven't added here too is resistances can be a little hard to balance, and life can also be another problem. But that just comes with minning and maxing at the end of the day. Okay, so with the tree, we're going to start on the shadow tree here. Now we're going to build up through into these blank nodes here for int. We're going to come down, we're going to get trickery, and we're going to get blood siphon. Then we'll move across and get saboteur and then assassination. Then we'll go up, then we'll come in and we'll take this intelligence node up here. I'll just pull the screen out a little bit. Then we'll pick up these nodes coming into successful detonations. Then we'll move further up, we'll take volatile mines, then we'll come down, we'll pick up this written blood node, we'll pick up the Doomcast node. This is going to increase our critical chance and critical multi. Then we'll come back down, we'll take up Blast Cascade. That's going to increase our critical strike multiplier and also is going to start generating our power charges. Then we'll come down, we'll pick up Clever Construction. This is going to be an increase to your mines again, and then High Explosives and Devastating Devices, again focusing on critical strike chance and multiplier, and this is going to, High Explosives is going to result in elemental resistance penetration. Then we're going to come down, we're going to pick up Blood Drinker, we'll pick up, oh my god, really bad at talking tonight. We'll pick up Frenetic. This is going to get us one more Frenzy Charge. We want to get to a number of 5 Frenzy Charges, ideally. Then we'll come down. Now, we won't do this straight away. We will pick up we'll pick up Acrobatics and Phase Acrobatics. This is going to get us onto the dodge reel, and this is going to stop us from dying so much early game. Then we'll come down, pick up Heartseeker. This dual node here. We'll pick up Fervor, and we'll pick up Herbalism. Now, by this stage, you're probably not at the point where you're ready to get your cluster node in, but ideally, we want to get our cluster node in, which has Guerrilla Tactics and Surprise Sabotage. Then we'll come back up, and we'll focus on building to the left as we level up. And by this stage, you should be at, you know, early T1 mapping and things like that. So then we'll come to the left. Move to Heart and Soul, you're going to grab Annihilation, and that's going to give you crit multi on your Glacial Cascade. Then you're going to come down. Now, you'll want to pick up the Quick Recovery node here. Don't pick up these dual nodes until you get to, you know, level 92 or so. You don't really need them yet. You'll come up, and then you'll pick up this Serpent Stance. Now, because we're using a Tremor Rod, we can use this because it's going to increase our global critical strike chance. It's also going to give us huge amounts of crit multi as well. You know, we're talking about 10, 50% crit multi, which is huge. Then we'll come to the left, we'll pick up Retribution, we'll grab Discipline and Training, we'll come in and we'll pick up Amplify to give us more area of effect and area damage. Then we'll grab Light of Divinity, this will give us more crit and spell damage. Then we'll pick up Holy Dominion, then we're going to come down and pick Devotion. Now, by this point you'll be at level 92, and then you can pick up your dual node here, and that'll get you to level 94. Now, where you take it from here is completely up to you, and you can tweak this. Just note that this pretty much meets the heat cluster of how everyone's been doing this build on PoE Ninja. But essentially my build is a little more min and maxed and geared towards the way that I'm playing this build currently. But by all means, make any changes you like, but I hope this gets you started. Now for the Pantheon, the 2 nodes that you want to take will be the Soul of Lunaris. This is going to give you physical damage reduction, movement speed with enemies around you. It's going to increase your dodge and avoidance, and it's also going to give you absolute avoidance to chain projectiles. The second one you're going to take is Soul of Tukahama, and this is going to give you 2% additional physical damage while you're stationary, and also life regeneration while you're stationary. So when you're throwing those mines like that, you're going to get reduction, and you're not going to die. Alright, yeah, let's keep going. So thanks again for watching this build guide. I hope I've covered off on enough questions and whatnot that you know, make it very clear and easy for someone to play this build. This is an incredibly good build, and as I said at the very start, you know, there are ES variants and low life and all of that jazz, but I've actually found I've really enjoyed this variation. So yeah, if this video helps you, drop me a like, drop me a sub. If you think it's absolute crap, well, not much I can do there for you. Yeah, drop me a dislike then. And if you want to support the channel a little further, and there's absolutely no need to, I have set up a Patreon. The link will be in the description as well. Yeah, until next time, bye.